All right, hello everybody. We're going to get started on the webinar today in just a couple of minutes. Going to give a few more minutes to let some people show up. I see there's still a few out there that haven't arrived yet, so just going to be a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. All right, we're going to get started. We got a few more that showed up, so anybody who shows up late, too bad for them. We'll be recording this, so we'll be available for those later if you did miss it. So today I'm just going to give a little overview of race day scoring and what we've gotten done in March in terms of the development. So this month was pretty busy for us. It's traditionally the start of the timing season for everybody, so we're pretty busy with support. We also had just last week our first virtual or remote certification class that took place on Tuesday of last week. So that was a new thing for us. Took us a lot of effort and work to get it organized. So a little busy. So we didn't have too many new features put out for RaceDay scoring, but we did have a lot of bug fixes and things that we discovered. So what I'm going to do first is just go through all of the updates that we've done and the progress we've made, and also go through all the new features we've put in since the last update I did in February. So before I do that, I did want to go over what we're going to be doing shortly in terms of webinars. So we have this webinar today, and then we also have a webinar in, let's see, on, I believe it's the 9th of April. That's going to be a race day scoring for RunScore users webinar. And so that's really going to be a webinar session closed to RunScore users, just giving a demonstration and overview of the product. So if you're interested in, or you know someone who's interested in race day scoring that is currently a RunScore user but doesn't know much about the product, this would be good to point them to. You can always access this, resources.runsignup.com/webinar calendar. If you want to share it with someone, feel free to. While I'm on that topic of the certification, actually, so a lot of people were wondering, is there going to be another remote certification? And we're only going to do one of these a year. We decided that we wanted to keep it fairly limited so that we're not having to do it every single month. The next certification is actually going to be at the 2019 RunSignUp Symposium. So that's in the middle of July in Philadelphia, Wednesday, we're going to have certification for timers as well. So this Wednesday session would be what you want to come to. I highly recommend coming to this if you're able to anyways. The sessions on Tuesday are really great as well. We found that timers get a lot of benefit from this, interacting with other timers as well as race directors. There's a lot of good information to be had, so definitely recommend this if you are already planning on it. And even if you are certified, there's a lot to glean from it. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to start going through the updates. So again, all these updates are posted racedayscoring.blog. If you go to About, they have this release notes section. And all of the updates are posted in here by date, so you can see what things have been done since the last time you checked. So we left off in February of 2019. So we'll start off with 1.1.9 on March 12th. So what you'll see is in March we did a few updates in the races list. When you're looking up races in your app, we now show this little upcoming tag here, or if the race is passed, we show that it's passed. Just a little bit quicker way to find races that you need to get to quickly. And getting ahead of myself, we also added a search to this field. We didn't have it in the past. We also can now sort on the date field, and by default, we always show the furthest in the future race first here. Usually, you're not importing too many races way out in the future, but generally you are importing races that are, for this upcoming weekend. So we wanted to show those first. Someone's having trouble hearing. 1 second. I have someone saying that they can't hear. Can someone else just reply and let me know if you can hear me? Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot. Sounds good. I'm not sure. This one person may be having issues. Okay, continuing on. We added the option in the scored reads view to export scored reads. So what you'll find now is you click into scored reads. We've had the ability to import times here for a long time, but we just added the ability to export. So one thing you could use this for would be to use RaceDay scoring on a secondary remote computer to collect times at a location and then export those times and import them into another computer. So that might be a way to easily use a secondary computer that's way out in the field without connection to be able to import times onto another PC. Just a few little things. Updated the tooltips in many places to make them more legible. You'll start seeing now that we're using this little bit bigger font, make it a little bit more legible. Before it was very small and not very readable. So see that across the app. And we improved the group member adding interface, just making it a little bit easier to use when you're working with relay teams. Let's see. Okay, and the next update. So this is a pretty big one. We've made stream settings available across races. So in our original designs, when you can reuse a stream across many different races, but the options may not be copied to other races. Some of the options. So things like the folder path were not copied to other races. The IP address and port for direct systems were not copied to other races. So now we updated that and changed it so that in your streams, things like the port number and the IP address in some systems, or if it's a file, this folder path, that's all retained. So if you're reusing a stream across different races, you don't have to change those settings for each race, which is pretty handy. All right, I've given you the option now to delete all participants. This is found under the participants page under actions, delete all. This is going to actually delete everybody in the local race as well as on RunSignUp. There's a little confirmation when you do that. Say, are you sure you want to do this? Because it can be dangerous if you're removing everybody from the race online as well. So really it's only, we really needed to add it for those times where you're importing participants from a spreadsheet and need to clear them out again. Wouldn't really recommend using this for a live race, obviously. And it can be dangerous, like I said. So we had an issue with when you're creating a race in RaceDay scoring, you have the ability to publish it to RunSignUp as you create it. And we had an issue with the URL. If it was not unique, it was erroring out and would crash the system. So we just fixed that. Good to know if you did run into it. That's been resolved. Okay, moving on. March 19th. We added the confirmation before deleting participants. We realized that could be dangerous without a confirmation, so we did add that. We added a note to the stream setup about the file extension field. So this is good to understand, so I'll walk you through it. So when you're setting up a file stream, like any of these down here I can show you, there's this file extension. What this file extension is doing is it's filtering the folder path. It's saying, give me all of the files in this folder path that end in txt. So you could use this as txt, you could use it as CSV, and what it's going to do is if there are multiple files in this folder, it's only going to reference and use the times from the ones that have an extension txt. So if you leave this blank, and this is the note we just added, all files in the folder will be considered. So sometimes, like Trident systems have a log and a txt output in the same folder maybe. You could leave this blank if you wanted to reference all of those files within that folder path you're determining. So that's just good to understand. That's how it works. We've made it a little bit more clear to you. We had an issue with stream settings for when we made the update in the last one about letting those stream settings copy between races. Some older streams that you had set up, you would have to save, and now and they were giving you an error because they were missing some data. We fixed that, so now you shouldn't see that problem anymore. We had an issue before with publishing results to RunSignUp. So when you are publishing results to RunSignUp, that's all done through this reports, actions, autosave, RunSignUp results, and then adding in this stream and publishing results that way. So we had some people reporting an error on that, and we were able to figure out what it was. It was the really weird error that was coming from only those who didn't have a, I'll show you, only those who didn't have a number of winners for one of the age groups for their race. So we fixed that, so now we always default it to 0 if there's nothing there, and the error no longer happens. And finally with this one, we had a issue with creating races at RunSignUp, and this was basically if you created a race that was in PM, it was putting it in AM, which wasn't too good, so we did fix that one. Okay, and March 26th, our most recent one, just the other day. New feature, this is pretty cool. Connection status indicator for all direct type systems. So now we're showing green or red status indicators for each assigned stream that is one of the direct types. So like MyLapse direct, ChronoTrack direct, Race Result direct, Trident iPico direct, all of those. We also show a message in the app if you lose or gain connection while a connector is running. So this is really handy to be able to determine status of your connection to these devices in real time. So especially important for Trident iPico users because they don't have middleware to let them know if there's a connection being made. So I have timing and scoring here, and I can just quick give you a little demo of this, how it looks. Yeah, it's April Fool's race. I had MyLapse set up. So I have these MyLapse Direct streams that I've set up here, and I've already configured this to point to start and finish, which I have set up as locations in my timing and scoring setup. I have a exporter, TCP/IP exporter. So this is pretty much ready to go. If I were timing a race, all I would need to do is start collecting reads. So I'll start the connector up, and it's going to start trying to find a connection on my local system here. And we all are very familiar with that sound if you're a MyLapse timer. So we'll see now I have a connection made to my streams. So this will stay lit until I lose connection. So if I were to shut down my exporter, I would lose that connection. And that connection goes down. So it's disconnected. And these notifications show anywhere in the app. These indicators are just on the streams list. In the future, we're going to be putting them onto the dashboard so you can see them here. But this is going to be really helpful to those timers who are using direct systems for race day scoring. Already went over this. The race list is now sorted by default to show races furthest in the future. We've added on the import for participant data, we now check for and ignore duplicates. So if you have duplicate participants, we just ignore them upon import. We no longer autofill the bib from chip entry if there is no bib found for that chip cross-reference that's currently loaded. So what this is referring to is if you're in a race that has bibs and chips in a different, like this race here has bib and chips loaded that are different. If you type in a chip code here, what it's going to do is it's going to look in your bib chip cross-reference and try and find a bib number for it. First of all, if you don't want the bib to be overwritten, you can just disable this autofill if you're just reassigning a chip code to someone so it doesn't pull from the chip cross-reference. That's just making it so it doesn't overwrite that. So basically, if I type in something that doesn't exist in my chip file here, it used to delete this bib number, which was pretty confusing. We've changed it so it doesn't automatically delete it or overwrite it unless there's an actual match for that chip code in my bib chip cross-reference. So it's just going to be a little bit better for those using bibs and chips, a little bit easier to understand, a little bit less scary when you type in you're assigning a new chip code here. A few bugs that we fixed. We had an issue with if you typed in an incorrect RunSignUp password, the app would put up a bunch of different errors, and we've fixed that. So now we're correctly interpreting that error from RunSignUp and saying, hey, your password's incorrect. You can reset it online. We fixed an issue with RFID file imports. So this was one that we got reported over a weekend when someone was timing a race, and they, for some reason, it was only addressing one of the files in the folder and not the other. And it turned out that there was a bug in being able to reference multiple files in that single folder. With RFID systems, if you guys aren't familiar, if you are an RFID timer and are not aware, the way those work is that it has RFID server writes out to a single folder, and then each file within that folder will be let's see if I can find an example. It'll be a different IP address. So with RFID systems, what we've done is we have made it custom for the RFID file type to say, look for this one folder path, but only look for this IP address. And what it does is it just looks for this as the file name. So it's going to only reference this 192.168.1.120 within this folder to pull in reads, because with RFID, it puts the start and the finish and all your split points into one folder. So this is how we kind of deal with having one folder, but you want multiple streams from that one folder. And the only way to determine the difference is their names are always the device IP. So that's just good to know if you're an RFID timer. You can have the same folder path split out into multiple streams based on this device IP address. All right, and that's all the updates we've done. I do want to quick go into what's coming up. I want to give you a little update on what we've been working on a lot lately. So you'll see on this on the blog we have a roadmap section, which is basically what we're working on and what's in development, what's planned to get done. We have a lot planned. Obviously, that comes bigger than the rest, but what we're trying to get done for the next update is we are moving the top finisher settings, which right now are in the reports under actions edit at the top here. We're moving these them over to this age groups section to be more of a generic scoring section, so that you don't have to go into the reports to customize your top finisher categories, and you can do it as you're setting up your race. You are saying, okay, I'm setting up my top finisher categories and my age groups. So in this process of going through this update, we found a few different issues that we're resolving in terms of the way that reports are being generated and the standings made. So it's taking our developers a little bit longer than we initially expected, but what's good about it is that we're introducing a lot more stability in the scoring part side. So this is going to be really, really great once we get this done. It should be only maybe a week or two more of development. But what we're going to do is be able to let you define this on the race level, and then eventually what we're going to do as well is support custom top finisher categories. So by moving it out to the race level, we're going to be able to allow you to set, basically change this filter when you're creating top finishers. Usually it's just by gender and age. It's usually like top 3 males overall, or top 3 males masters, they're over 40. We're going to allow you to set up your own custom filters there. So it could be like top 3 male whose question response equals Clydesdale. So you'll want to do, let's say for a triathlon where you want Clydesdales to not double dip into the overall category, or do double dip into the overall category. This would be a really good way to manage those types of situations. It's going to introduce a lot of power to our scoring system and really allow you to do a lot more custom type scoring scenarios. Another thing that we're improving is this relationship between what we call listings and reports. Listings are how we rank participants. So every time there's a ranking system in RaceDay scoring, for instance, I may be a part of many different rankings. As a participant in this race, I'm going to be ranked overall. I'm going to be ranked overall males. I'm going to be ranked overall male 29 to 39. I'm going to be ranked in all these different types of categories. So I could be in like 20 different listings possibly, depending on Is it, no double dipping, chip scored, clock scored? So what we have is under this scoring gears menu, this is like advanced scoring. That does allow you to view all the listings for this race, and it will show you what reports this listing is being used in. So this is a fairly simple race, but if I were in a more complicated one, I'll see a few more here. This one's not really that complicated either, but it would give me all the different reports that this listing is used for. And we're going to be expanding this even more to show you even more dependencies, so you can basically get an overhead view of all your reports and what different rankings they rely on. It's really going to be good for troubleshooting purposes. In development, we're working on aggregate teams, which are like our standard team scoring system. So allowing you to add up the times or places for participants. This will let you do things like corporate team scoring or basic cross-country scoring. That's upcoming. We're making good headway on that. Once we have this top finisher settings categories all complete, we're going to finish off our GRU upload. So this is how it's a standardized output format for results. And basically, in order to do this, we had to move the top finisher settings outside of the reports to be able to make it work right, to be able to have separate columns for position and age group definition. So once we get this done, we'll be able to tackle the GRU finally. A lot of things will be coming in the timer dashboard. We are working on a few different things for, right now, mostly boring things like billing and being able to make sure that certified timers are getting the flags set for them correctly based on whether or not they're RaceDay certified or RaceJoy certified, making sure that we've got all of our T's crossed and I's dotted when allowing people to get RaceJoy for free or for RaceDay scoring. And planned, we have a lot planned still. Things like printing directly to a printer. Right now you can print to a PDF then print. We're going to be adding this eventually. Things like participant level waves or corral start times. Right now it's just at the event level that you can do different start times. We'll be adding a lot more to that eventually. Better unknown participant handling. We're going to be, right now we have a simple way of managing unknown participants. We don't have a way to automatically set up participants if they are unknown. So we'll be adding in a lot more around there. Pull tag scoring, something that we are going to be adding. We do have a very simple method of manual timing. If you go into timing locations under scored reads, you can just do add times and you get a really simple system of time stamping. You can even do things like pressing Alt-5, which marks 5 at once. But we're going to be expanding that to allow you to use multiple systems and merge them into one list using select times and things like that. And once we have aggregate teams supported, we are going to tackle cross-country scoring. RaceDay Hub, which is our system of on-site kiosks, we're going to be adding a lot more to. One thing that we did add in March is actually the ability for Race Director to be used as a hub or as a kiosk with the RaceDay Hub, so that you can use Race Director's data entry to add participants to RaceDay scoring, which is really powerful, super cool. Race Director has been honing that data entry feature for 30 years, and it's a really, really slick. So a lot of people are used to that. So we're just giving you the ability to be able to, keep that Race Director data entry screen as a part of your process if you prefer that over the RaceDay scoring one. A lot of different things we want to show in for live data. We want to show more on the dashboard. So we're going to be showing things like these read counts are going to be more in depth. We're going to be showing you here, okay, for the raw reads, how many of these raw reads were unknown how many of them were out of range, how many of them were a duplicate read, how many of them were an undefined occurrence. So we're going to list out all the different ignored reason types for these raw reads in this page so that you can get an idea of what's going on with your raw data, how many have been accepted, and how many are being ignored, and why they're being ignored. Similarly, we're going to do things with these start and finish reads, these scored reads sections. We're going to show you here quickly how many start reads for the 5K did I see versus how many did I see for the 10K, for instance. Things like that. Also, participant counts by event, we're going to display on the dashboard right here to be able to show you quickly, do I have all my participants? Is everything looking good? We know that this is the area that you're checking all the time to be able to make sure that everything is working correctly. And so having that participant data is very important. We are planning on this, streaming GPS data from RaceJoy. So this is going to be really cool. In the future, we're going to be able to show, basically, we're going to be able to use RaceJoy as a stream so that you could use RaceJoy times as a backup solution. So you could use that GPS data as a backup stream so that if you're missing a time from somebody, you could pull in a read from them from your GPS data, which would be, better than nothing. Obviously not super accurate, but pretty good if you're, really, you didn't get a start read for someone. You might as well use a RaceJoy time. It's not too far off. So that's going to be coming as well. Another thing we're going to be doing is these recent reads. We're going to give you a way to full screen this and show more so that you can use this as a little mini announcer screen. Be a really quick way to throw up RaceDay scoring on a timing system just to use as an announcer window. So we have a few things that we need to do here. We've noticed an issue with these not scrolling correctly sometimes. So we're looking into that, and then we'll be adding a full screen option to this. Today you can use the RaceDay hub and on a second computer use a kiosk that is set up as an announcer. Under results kiosks, if you were to go in here and set this up, it would allow you to use RaceDay scoring on that second computer as a results kiosk. Well, it actually would be like an announcer window. So that'd be a scrolling recent finishers leaderboard essentially. And that'll work over a local network, Wi-Fi or direct wired. All right, so that's pretty much all I had to go through today. If anybody has any questions, I have a few minutes. You can just put them into the question section here. And again, if you guys ever do have any more in-depth questions, or you want to learn more about the system, or want to talk about a specific scoring scenario that you have, I'm always happy to talk with you. My email is avery@runsignup.com, or if you use this contact form on the blog, it'll send us a note and we'll get in touch right away. You can also reach us, and if you use the app, there's a little question mark in the top right that you can use to get help. That'll actually send over an export of your race file as well. So we can look at that if you are having issues. All right, so no questions. That's good. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you guys next month. Hopefully we'll have a lot more for you at the end of April. Thanks a lot for coming. Bye-bye.